In wenigen Minuten starten wir mit dem Semifinale. Die ersten Athleten, die ihr hier klettern sehen werdet, sind schon die stärksten des Landes. Die Franzi Sterer und der Jan-Luca Bosch werden dieses Semifinale beginnen. Am Boulder Nummer 1, die Athleten haben dann 5 Minuten Zeit, um die Boulder zu klettern. Es handelt sich um eine On-Site-Runde. Das heißt, die Athleten haben keine Informationen zu den Bouldern, befinden sich jetzt gerade in der Isolationszone, kommen raus, sehen sich die Boulder an und müssen dann versuchen, die beste Lösung herauszufinden und diese dann auch zu absolvieren. Es gibt eine Zonenwertung und eine Top-Wertung. Für die Zonenwertung müssen die Athleten den Griff, der markiert ist, nicht nur berühren, sondern auch verwenden. Und für die Top-Wertung
good morning and
muss mit dem Top-Griff eine stabile Position eingenommen werden und das okay vom Judge geben.
My name is David Patterson and I'm here delighted
Für eine gültige
by the company of
Startposition
Jakob
müssen die
Christopher.
markierten
He's the route
Startgriffe
setter for Bloc hosting
von
and
zumindest
also
einer Gliedmaße
one of
berührt
the
werden.
route setters in charge
Ein
for
Fuß
the
oder
Bloc
eine
summer. Female and
Markiert
male.
sind sie durch
Hello
die
Jakob,
pinken
good
Tapes.
morning.
Hello Dave, and also a very warm welcome to everyone who is watching us on the stream. Yeah, I'm excited. We're a few minutes away from the start of this semi-final, so yeah, I think we are ready.
Yes, it's a bit of a cooler morning. We're hopefully not going to have showers in the evening, but we're going to be starting with the semi-finals. There is meant to be 20 people in the semi-finals, but there is a bit more opponents due to the wildcard. This is due to the Bloc summer sessions. Yes, there is 3 candidates from the Bloc summer sessions who qualified in the female, and there are 4 in the men. This is due to a same amount of scores. And also we have 5, there has been a problem with the sound here. There is 5 also qualified athletes from the Austrian Masters, where this leaves us in total with 29 candidates for the semi-finals. We have been seeing a pretty tough qualifiers yesterday morning. Jakob, were you expecting a little bit more few tops, or was it perfect as you planned?
Yeah, I hope we will see some more tops now in the semi-final. We didn't really know the level of all the competitors, so we decided to go for a harder qualification round to see where we are at with the level. And
Dank gilt auch dem Jurypräsidenten Bernhard Steindler und seinen Assistenten Anton Baumann.
We made them slightly easier, and yeah, now we hope for more tops than in the qualification round yesterday.
Yes, having competitors just like Oriane Bertone, who has been already in a World Cup podium or has climbed already 8C boulders, and then you get some other competitors which have not yet made a podium. The levels are so varied. I guess it's really hard to set a level that suits for everyone.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone who's starting here is really strong, but as you said, there is some gaps in between. We have people who already climbed in World Cup finals, as you said, and then we have other people who are maybe not as experienced, and then it's quite challenging to find the right level, but I hope it will work out. We will see.
And then we have a pretty good panorama of the whole stage, and the boulders look amazing, to be honest, like really good colors, really standing big volumes. Were you going for bigger volumes due to any reason?
Yeah, I think they're always optically very pleasing, and yeah, we were also lucky to have a lot of good holes, but let's focus on the athletes now.
Yes, we're going to start with the qualified from the Austrian Masters. They will come in order of the ranking, how they ended up in the Masters. Then this will be followed by the qualified for the Bloc summer sessions, and then we will start from the last to the strongest qualified from the yesterday's previous qualifier round for the Bloc summers. And there we have Franzi Sterer and Johanna, the actual winners of 2021 Bloc summers, the Masters, Austrian Masters. And yeah, could you explain a little bit? There has not been previous observation on these boulders, and they have 5 minutes to complete each boulder. Maybe you can describe us a little bit of men's 1.
Yeah, so men's 1 starts with a dynamic move, at least that's how it's intended by the route setters. and the idea is to swing onto this volume, which is also marked as a starting position, and then go to the 2 chips on the blue volume, and then go directly to the next hold. But here we can see Janne spanning the first move.
Pretty strong. He already acknowledges the zone. I believe that's his second or third try. Yeah, as you were saying, this is more thought as a dynamic move, but he's also one of the very taller competitors. Do you think a lot of people are going to be able to just span out and just stop the swing?
I don't think so, or at least I hope so, that not so many people will be able to do it as he did it. But as you said, yeah, Janne is really tall and also very good at these spanned positions. Also in the qualification round, he was able to span one or the other move where other athletes had to jump.
Yes, and what about the women? We have here some sort of like dynamic toe catch at the beginning.
Yeah, it's intended as Franzi did it right now. A really complex start with a demanding toe hook, and now I think she will try to jump for the big pink hold. Yeah, almost.
And Franzi almost acknowledging the zone hold. Is this a very good hold where she's going to, where she's jumping to, in matters of a professional level?
Yeah, it's quite a good hold, but the thing is, you have hardly anything to make the direction to the right. It's only your toe and this tiny crimp for the right hand, which we added yesterday in the evening to make it a bit more comfortable for the athletes.
And then we see Jan-Luca Posch going again for another good go. No problem at the beginning of the boulder. Only 6 athletes are going to be able to qualify for tonight's evening. The best 6 out of these 29 athletes will come at 20 hours Austrian time, fighting for the podium. But they have to earn it, and those boulders are no gimme. They have been made a little bit easier, as Jakob was saying, but by any means that they are easy boulders. You have some people, the best of Austria, and some international athletes joining today. People like Johnny Fivet and Oriane Bertone and Staša Gejo on the female. And 1 minute 20, and I think Johanna Posch doesn't fancy another go. Do you think he's dealing with a little bit of skin? He has had 3 days already of really hard, tough bouldering rounds.
Yeah, could be. He already did the qualification of the Austrian Championships, and then of course the semis and the finals. And now it looked like he didn't fancy another go. Maybe he thought that the top is just not possible for him in the remaining time, and so he decided to quit on the boulder.
Yeah, probably is in such a strong level like he knows himself pretty well where to spare some energy for the next boulders. It's the first boulder and it's not even like the final round, so you probably want to save a little bit of skin and power for the next that is up to come. And if anybody's new to the world of bouldering and bouldering competitions, we have to have 4 pieces of tape. Those are representing 4 limbs, and you have to choose as you wish 1 piece of tape per 1 limb. You have to control the start, and every single attempt starts as soon as you leave the mats, as soon as you don't have any contact point to the floor. Further on we have a zone hold. This is delimited with the green tape, and the last hold is the top hold. The top hold gets awarded the most points and then comes down to the zones. Here we have the next 2 athletes. The local hero, Johanna Färber, who trains also at Bloc with Jakob. Can you explain us a little bit about this girl?
Yeah, I've been knowing Johanna for a long time. I think we got to train together when she was 12 years old. And she's very determined, and it was great to see her progressing throughout the national stage onto the international stage, and I'm excited to see what she can do on this pro.
Yes, I mean, this is a perfect representation of a proper competition, have such a strong international field like Oriane Bertone and Staša Gejo. So it's going to be quite interesting to see where the level of each athlete is and how everybody reads something. And then we have on the left Stefan Scherz, who qualified as second yesterday, as third yesterday, before yesterday, sorry. Nikolai Izhnik decided not to join the competition, and therefore he's going to be second. He was also in Seus less than a month ago, trying biography. So I think he's in a pretty top shape. Let's hope to see what he can do out of this boulder. No top so far or any of men or women's first, but he got really close in his first attempt. He will be awarded the zone on the first attempt.
Yeah, we saw he could not span the move. Instead, he decided to jump for the 2 yellow chips, and then he also had a hard time at the top section, and he tried to go directly to the top, which didn't look too far away, so maybe he can do it like that. I don't know. We will see.
Johanna not finding such an easy position at the beginning. This is the very complex start that Jakob was explaining to us. And hopefully we're going to see a little bit more a shiny start for this athlete who did a really good job 2 days ago, qualifying second. Was really tight, but Francie just looked in her own league, and yeah. Still, nevertheless, a silver medal and an awesome performer from Johanna Färber, the local hero from here, Graz.
Yeah, and I think at this point it's important to mention that the athletes have never seen these problems before. So it can be quite tricky if you have a starting position like that with the mark with the tapes, when you don't know how to fit into the position. So we can see with Johanna now, she's trying different things, and so far it hasn't worked out, but yeah, it's really hard to figure it out, and I recommend to everyone, if you want to see or feel on your own how these athletes feel, then you can go to your local gym and set yourself a timer for 5 minutes and try to do a problem you've never seen before, and it can be quite hard actually.
And Johanna lives the mats. I think she was a little bit frustrated with this first boulder, and yeah, probably deciding to skip it, focus more on the problems that are to come. There is still a lot of climbing to do for the day. And Stefan Scherz battling again with his upper section of the boulder. You guys mentioned yesterday, as I was talking a little bit with Musa, that the upper part was meant to be the easier part and the lower part was meant to be the harder part, where we think the athletes actually having an easier start at the beginning. What do you think is due to that? What do you think might be the reason?
Yeah, I think it turns out to be just the other way around, at least so far. So they have an easier time at the start, and then they struggle at the top section. But that's how it is sometimes with route setting. You can never know how the athletes will climb on the problems. And yeah, I think there are so many factors like temperature, conditions, the skin conditions of the athletes, the mindset, of course the shape. So it's really hard to tell in advance which sections are going to be hard for the athletes and which are going to be easier.
Jan was saying that when they set the boulders for the Austrian Masters, it was a lot cooler than in the days that they had to climb. So it was a harder and tougher round. Do you think this is the case today, or is it quite okay? We're having a little bit more shade than yesterday, and there's a little bit of a breeze, but still.
Oh, close now.
He got really, really close, and 10 seconds is not going to be enough. Yeah, talking about today's conditions, do you think it's similar to the conditions when you were setting the boulders, or you were expecting a bit of a cooler conditions?
I think the conditions are not so bad today. We have a little bit of cloud covering here, so the heat is bearable, I would say. The conditions were similar when we were setting, so I think this should be all right.
Cool. And Halter Dominik here from Vienna, an athlete who retired this year from professional competition. He just joined for fun, qualified as third on the Masters, looking super strong and having probably the athlete who showed the most fun in the Masters. He qualified directly for the semi-finals, and let's see what Nicola can do today. And on the women's side, we have Lea Kemp, the young 16 for Alba athlete. Where are your bets on these semi-finals, Jakob? Who do you think might be able to get to the podium? or qualify for the next round. There's only 6 athletes, so I know it's not an easy job, but where is your money on?
Yeah, I think, of course, the favorites like Staša and Oriane, I would bet on them, but also Franzi looks really strong. I know that Johanna can pull off a good performance if she has a good day. And with the men, I think there was Tim, one German guy who's leading after the qualification. I didn't know him before, but he climbed very well in the qualification round. And yeah, then we of course also have Gianluca Bosch, who is the reigning Austrian champion. We have people like Hertel Dominik, who's now on men's 1. As you said, he retired officially from competition climbing, but obviously he's still enjoying the stage.
And here we have a graph of boulder number 2, starting with 2 really big squatter holes, going to another 2 big blue squatter holes. I have to say, like personally, the right blue squatter hole looked super, super hard. I'm really looking forward to see how these athletes can do the compression move, because it looks savage, to be honest. Yeah, maybe you can run us a little bit through what is the intended idea for this men's 2?
Yeah, in men's 2 you start with these 2 black blobs, and then the idea is to cross over with your left hand to the first blue blob, and then go dynamically with your right hand to the second blue one to compress the 2 holes. So pretty much the way Yanni tried to do it right now. But with these problems, it's also really hard to get the right level, because sometimes if it's just a bit warmer or a bit more humid, then the holes can feel completely different. But maybe Yanni can find a way to unlock this first sequence.
Yes, yes, and in problems like this, where like the left part or the middle part of the wall is also quite overhanging, you have to be quite fast, right, into creating this pressure that Yanni just tried to do. Otherwise, you're going to be completely out of the wall, and every second is just a centimeter further away from the wall. But here we're seeing Nikki from Vienna looking pretty high up on the boulder, not bad. And Francis Scherer on boulder number 2. This is a boulder you created. Quite a similar sounding move as men's 2, but also on its own characteristics. Maybe you can run us a little bit through boulder number 2 for the female.
Yeah, I think she's on a very good way. It's what she's trying is pretty much the intended beta. So you start with a toe hook catch, and then you need to be really explosive and quick. And I found it to be very important to also hit the wall with the right foot to stop the momentum. Because the thing is, the right green hold is quite good. It's almost a jug, but the left sloper is really bad. So you need something to stop the momentum, which carries you to the right.
And further on the upper part of the volumes, what is the intended idea? Do you go with the left or with the right to the zone hold further up?
Yeah, that's it. She did it perfectly now. So now I would expect her to bump again with her left hand. Oh, interesting.
Francis Scherer looking really strong, but doesn't quite make it. And 30 seconds, I don't think it's going to be enough, but let's hope she does another try.
That was a great try from Franzi. I would have expected her to bump again to the pink sloper and bring her right heel into the juggier hold, into the juggier green hold.
And we're having some situation. The judges just came to the mat to have a look at the boulder. Something was explained by Francis Scherer. Hopefully it's not going to get away on the competition, in the way of the competition, and the athletes are going to be able to carry on. There is also a black tape in between F2 and M2. Can you please explain us why do you put a tape there and not further on the upper part of the wall?
Yeah, the black tape, it somehow restricts the space that the athletes are allowed to use. So the girls are not allowed to use this big blue blob, which is on the left side of the black tape. And similarly, the boys are not allowed to use the green hold on the right side of the tape.
Okay, and here we are having the root setters. They're going to be doing some fine adjustments. Maybe there is a screw and hold. There's a screw and hold taken out, and they have to remove it from the walls. Could be dangerous that anybody gets injured. And I believe that Johanna Färber is going to have to wait, and she will be awarded the time that she just lost. Here we see Stefan Scherz not looking too far away. And do you think this is a move that suits Johanna Färber quite well? The boulder number 2 with this really dynamic, the compressive.
Yeah, I think she can definitely do it if she finds the right momentum. Yeah, you just need to hit the sweet spot on these holds. If you pull too much, then you slip off, and if you pull too little, obviously you won't make it. So, yeah, let's hope she finds the sweet spot.
And we had 4 of the strongest root setters for these masters. Dirk Ulich from Germany, followed by Jakob Rizdofes sitting next to me, commenting and guiding you through this competition, these semi-finals, followed by Luca Muzza, Ingo Fieswieser and Or Wetzler. And pretty strong athletes, pretty strong root setters who are judging the level of those competitors. Not an easy task in times like these where the field is so varied. Do you think you made this semi-final a little bit more jumpy, or is it more about hard pulling? There's a good variety of it.
I think it's quite new school, of course. So we have quite a lot of jumps, and also the slab is more new school, I would say, in the sense that you have to stand on volumes and not on small creams like in the qualification yesterday. There was one problem which I would consider to be quite old school.
And Andreas Hofer trying boulder number 1 on the men's section, and we have Matteo Puzzi from Carinthia on women's number 1. Right now the field is being led by Johanna Posch, who got a zone on the 2nd try, followed by Stefan Scherz and Dominique Hartel, who got it on the 3rd. So. And we just see Andreas Hofer falling down. The athletes taking a little bit of a second to analyze again the boulders. So far looks like a really tough round. No many zones, not many tops, no tops at all. Yeah, let's see if we can see a little bit more of color. How is your position right now? Are you nervous, or you feel that it's going to be okay? Looking so far what we have seen.
Yeah, so Gejo coming quite close here on the jump. Yeah, you're right. Of course, it looks a bit hard right now. So I hope that we will see some more tops. We haven't seen any so far. Yeah, let's see.
Do you normally expect the semi-final round to be a little bit easier than the finals, especially when you have to separate so many athletes?
I would say the other way around. So I would say the semifinals are usually the hardest round of a comp, because you need to separate the 6 best climbers for the final, and then in final it's also more about the show. And of course you want tops in finals, because otherwise it's maybe not so interesting for the spectators.
And Andreas Hofer really strong here, but doesn't quite make it and falls down. And 8 seconds, it's not going to be enough. He's going to walk away, but he got the zone. Also his 5th try. So he's sitting currently in 4th position. And this is the repetition of Andreas Hofer from Vorarlberg. Jumping into the mats, we're followed by Julia Fischer and Florian Klingler from Tirol. Do you think this is a problem that could suit Florian, being one of very powerful athletes?
Yes, for sure. So Florian is a real powerhouse. I think he's going to enjoy this problem. I also know that he was injured and he couldn't train for quite a long time, so it's going to be interesting how his shape is now after this injury.
And we also created a grasp of boulder number 3. A pretty impressive dynamic move where you have to step on the volume and get a crimp. Is it thought like this, or do you think some people are going to be able to trick the third boulder by the men?
Yeah, maybe Yanni is able to span the move. I don't know. We saw on boulder number 1 that he's really good at spanning long moves. But I think he's trying right now to, on his first try, he tried to bring his left foot onto the volume, and now he tried to press down with his right hand. And I think both are good options, so both ways work. Let's see which one he's going to fancy in his next go.
Further on we see some crimps. Are they good crimps? Are they bad crimps? In terms of crimps. Yeah, not looking too bad, but getting a lot of swing. Do you think it's a better option to go with the Fudo as he's doing with the palm press?
I think it depends a bit on your morphology.
And there we see Florian
Klingler with a great performance on boulder number 1.
Hanging on one arm.
Yanni making the zone on M3. Come on, Yanni.
Really looking strong here. And falls in the last second, but he still gets around 2 minutes 50, so enough time for this athlete. And very strong from Florian Klingler. We didn't see many athletes getting really comfortable to the top, and he looked super smooth in this upper part.
Yeah, you're right. He just cruised it, I would say, but that's the thing. Sometimes if a problem suits you, and if you're really strong as Florian Klingler, then you can make it look easy.
Here we're also having a little bit of a grasp of Francis Sterer on boulder number 3. Yeah, can you explain us a little bit what is the idea? There's so many big holes, like where to start, where to go.
Yeah, she's doing very well here. Come on, Franzi. That's pretty much the intended beta. And she one hand on the top.
We're going to see the first female top. Not looking very comfortable. What can she do better to get out of this position?
I think she will have to bring her right foot up. Or like...
Oh, wow. That was a display of power from Francis Sterer. But just top, boulder number 3.
And Yanni looked really strong on the crimps.
So far leading the female scoreboard is Francis Sterer with the one and only top.
And in the man, it's Klingler Florian with the top on boulder number 1. Here we see replay.
There you are, looking so strong and asking for some support from the audience. Wow, Lea looked really, really close in that attempt.
And Yanni has this move dialed now on M3. Let's hope he can pull off a top.
1 minute to go.
There's 1 minute left on the crimps again.
And so far no zones for the female, apart from Francie, who got 2 zones. 1 zone and 1 top, if I believe. 2 zones. She got a zone on boulder number 2, no zone on boulder number 1, and a top on boulder number 3. We're seeing also Dominic having a little bit of rethought.
And Yanni will give it one last go. You asked me about the crimps before, so I would say they are quite bad. You can see Yanni, he's really strong on crimps and still he has a hard time, but maybe now. Come on, Yanni, come on. Oh, such a shame.
It's pretty cool that you see an athlete learning such a move, a complex move like that, and now not having any trouble with the first part, still having to change and swap from a really fast dynamic move to really controlled and slow, crimpy movement. Is it something that route setters tend to do, to swap from slow to fast?
Yeah, that's exactly what the idea was with this problem. So we wanted a quick dynamic movement at the beginning and then some proper pulling on crimps. And yeah, so far it looked really well how Yanni climbed it, and such a shame that he couldn't finish it. But let's see what Stefan can do on this M3 problem.
And now the athlete from Styria Thomas Lach, he was the winner from the Bloc summer sessions. And Lena Schrittwisser from Syria, who also qualified for the Bloc summer sessions, on boulder number 1. How have you been dealing with skiing? You have had several rounds of setting and testing, and the days have not been the fresher here in Graz. A lot of humidity, a lot of sun heat.
Yeah, I think tape has been an essential tool during the last days. Almost all of us route setters have had tape fingertips because, yeah, as you said, it's just really abrasive for the fingertips, the setting.
Oh, wow, we just saw Stefan Scherz going for a different solution, going for a shoulder press and looking really strong. And doesn't quite get the upper part, but hopefully we're going to be able to see again Stefan Scherz, who looked super controlled on the first try.
Yeah, the shoulder press is also an option, and as I said, I think it depends a bit on your morphology. So if you're taller, I think it might be more comfortable to go left hand to the crimp and throw your foot up, and maybe the smaller athletes will fancy the shoulder press.
And do you think a shoulder press is going to be a little bit of a hard and more strength-dependent solution rather than the foot on the top?
I tried both ways, and I think it's pretty much the same difficulty depending on what you prefer.
Interesting. And here we see Johanna Färber on boulder number 3, not quite reaching with height this boulder, this right squadra sloper.
Yeah, the right quadra sloper is really bad. And now Stefan is again on the upper section.
So impressive the way he was doing it. Stefan Scherz not quite holding on to small crimps, taking a second to rest, and Johanna Färber making some progress on boulder number 3. We're gonna be having today a lot of competition climbing. We're starting today with the semi-final of the Bloc Masters. These will be followed at 5 o'clock evening time by the youngsters, the youth 16 finals, and these will be having a grand finale at 8 o'clock with the Bloc Summer Masters, the female and the men finals here in Graz. And here Johanna Färber moving again upwards with 1 minute 20 to go, almost reaching to the zone hold. So far no zones for Johanna Färber. If she wants to stay quite high up, she will have to get a zone at least, would put her in a really good position. Stefan Scherz looking really strong, boulder number 3. There we get a bit of a close-up shot. And going for the 1-2. It looks like his left foot is just not doing a lot against this volume. Maybe he would benefit if he put the left foot on the starting hold, and he can probably pull his whole body to the wall. But
I agree. I think he had his left foot too far to the left. When we were trying it, we were pretty much sitting on the right foothold and flagging with the left foot. So by doing that, you're more stable. But of course, it's easy to talk like that. If we have the screen here, it's a whole another world if you climb the problem for the first time.
True. A flag is just a technique that Jakob described, and it's basically where if you're positioning your right foot into a foothold, your left leg cuts behind your right foot and goes to the right, just in order to stay in balance and create tension. And here we have the next athletes, Erik Kokacha and Maja Kramberger from Slovenia. Maja, who has been also visiting Blockhouse in the last month. Pretty young Slovenian athlete. Let's see what she can do out of these boulder Slovenian athletes. Renowned to be really, really strong. What is the main difference you see between the Slovenians and the Austrians? You are also half Slovenian. Yes, and you also have been setting for some Slovenian training camps. What do you feel is the big difference when it comes to Slovenians and Austrians in terms of power, coordination, skills?
Oh, that's a tricky question. I will think about it. Maybe let's focus on Franzi in the meantime. She's doing really well here on F4. Oh,
wow.
So close.
I believe that was her first attempt on boulder number 4.
Yeah, I think it was her first go, and she did very well. Already had one hand on the top hold, but couldn't secure the top, unfortunately.
And this is the lambada for the first move.
Yeah, he tries the more dynamic version now. And about your question, I think it's hard to generalize the differences between the Austrian climbers and the Slovenian climbers. But maybe one thing which is remarkable in the Slovenian team is their team spirit. So they always train together, and you can feel that all the athletes push each other, and that there is a very strong community feeling within the team. And yeah, of course, there's also such a thing in Austria, but maybe it's not as strong as in Slovenia, I would say.
And there we see Dominik Hartel having a go at boulder number 3. And Franzi Steger going for another go. Hopefully we're going to be able to see a little bit more. And hopefully a top at the end. Franzi Steger, the only athlete with one top or a zone. Sitting currently in first position. Very strong. Very well climbed so far. Those are dual texture. So if you're seeing the holds that she's holding, the black part has no friction. And the blue part has friction, and she's trying to utilize the blue part, the black part, which is quite impressive because it has no friction at all. And maybe you can walk us through boulder number 4 in the men's section. You explained me yesterday that this is meant to be probably the hardest and most advanced boulder. Maybe we can get a close shot out of boulder number 4 for the men.
Yeah, so men's 4 is a classic modern slab where you need to stand on volumes and very slopey footholds. And also it's quite a complex problem, so it's not obvious what to do, I would say, if you have never seen the problem before. And yeah, it was set by Dirk Uhlig, the German chief route setter. And when forerunning the problems, I enjoyed this one most of all the problems, I would say, because it's just so technical, and little changes in your position with your hips can just unlock the sequence. So now we saw Yanni, he looked a bit too fast, not very focused maybe on his feet. And I think that's the crucial thing in this problem. You really need to take your time and find the right position on these volumes.
And Lea looking really strong here. On boulder number 3, same as Franzi Steger. Both on the really high upper part of the boulders. Franzi Steger falls down. Let's see what Lea can do out of this boulder. Is she going to power out like Franzi did? If she just creates a position with the right foot, it would help her a lot, but it's a really, really high foothold, requiring a lot of mobility. And same solution as Franzi Steger.
That's the top for her.
The second athlete, female athlete with the top.
Really strong.
Second, on second position with one top.
And Franzi with one last go, but I fear that she will run out of time. Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
And so far, only tops on boulder number 3 on the women's side. And coming another Austrian from Graz, Luca Gasser, who qualified from the Bloc summer sessions. And on the women's side, we have Nina Lach, also from Styria. She used to be more of a speed climber, but recently has been a lot in blockhouse training. I think she wanted to join for this competition.
And Johanna is now on the fourth problem for the women, facing this tricky jump to the right. Let's see how she will deal with it. Oh, that was quite good already. I think she just needs a bit more momentum to the right, and then she will stick it.
Matej Pütze looking really strong, almost holding on to the zone. Proud effort from the Austrian athlete from Carinthia. We see in boulder number 3, an athlete trying to get a little bit of shade. Andreas Hofer just dealing with the heat. The sun is just shining again, making this whole field a lot warmer. And Lena Schrittwisser, boulder number 2. Do you think being a taller athlete is going to be harder to keep a press on boulder number 2 for the female? And maybe the shorter athletes will be able to have a better pressing move, being not so wide?
I would say it should even out, so maybe the first section is a bit more comfortable if you're taller, but then on the upper part, I think it's maybe a bit easier if you're smaller because you fit better into the whole problem.
And both Matej Pütze controlling the zone and Johanna Färber also. Johanna Färber sticking on the wall. Undecisive on what to do, but looking really strong. Hopefully we're going to see a top of the Austrian local hero. She's renowned to be a very technical and powerful climber. And unfortunately falls down. And Andreas Hofer looking really strong, almost sticking the palm press. The whole square is filling with people who are passing by, friends, coaches from different countries. We're seeing a last day, a Saturday, people have a lot more time, and we're going to have a lot of spectators here today. We had 2 days ago 1,800 people here in Graz. The ambience in the arena was awesome. How was it for you, Jakob, to see a competition again with many people who are cheering? I mean, the whole ambience is so different.
Yeah, it was really, really great to see such a huge event in my hometown. I think there has never been something like that in Graz, so it was awesome to see. And Johanna is now again facing this tricky mantle. So close.
Yeah, can you explain what mantling is for people who are not so used to bouldering techniques?
Yeah, mantling is pretty much a movement where you have either one big hold for your hands and no feet, and you try to get into a pressing position so that you can put your foot onto the hold where your hands are, and then you would like to stand up on the hold. That's usually the case in a slab. Or a mantle can also be pushing movement over a lip. Of course, we have no lips here on these artificial walls, but on outdoor boulders, they are quite common, I would say. So it's usually the last part of a boulder to top it out, to get on top of the boulder. That's referred to as a mantle.
Thanks a lot for the explanation. And we see Johanna Färber again on the upper part, 25 seconds to go. Hopefully she's going to be able to get a top. It would do her really well, and unfortunately falls down. And she looks a little bit devastated, a little bit frustrated. Unfortunately. And Andreas Hofer gets a lot of cheering. Two timed out. But it's still a long, strong applause from her flatmates and family.
Welcome back on stage.
And we're going to be followed by Clemens Strithat, another Graz athlete who qualified in the Bloc summer sessions. And also we're going to be able to see on the women's side Lisa Beckinger from Lower Austria.
Yeah.
We would normally have 20 competitors, but due to the cut, we're going to have 29 per section for men and per women due to the cut that we explained before, due to the summer sessions and the Austrian Masters. 9 competitors got into this semi-final round, and only 6 will be joining the finals tonight in the evening.
Yeah, now we have Florian Klingler on M3, and I'm excited to see what he can do on this one after his stellar performance on boulder 1.
Yes, Florian Klingler from Tyrol, quite open to his boulder activities. We saw a post in his Instagram. He just built a net on top of a little stream of a river because he had a high ball and he didn't want to put the pads on the water, so he built a little net. It looked amazing, but also really scary being a really high boulder. And let's see what he can do out of boulder number 3. And here Clemens from Graz having a read at boulder number 1. And so far on the women's, we have Franzi Sterer with 1 top and 3 zones, followed by Lea Kemp with 1 top and 1 zone. And Mattea Pützi with 1 zone on boulder number 3. And on the men's side, we have Florian Klinger leading the field with 1 top and 2 zones, followed by Stefan Scherz with 2 zones and Johan Luca Posch by 2 zones. The difference between them is that Johan Luca took 6 tries and Stefan Scherz took 4 tries onto the zones. And here we see the Slovenian athlete Maja securing a proper start. You have to hold a proper start and then you can keep on climbing. The score system is pretty easy. The climber who gets the most tops is the winner. If 2 climbers get to the same amount of tops, we will have to separate them with the number of zones that we got. If the score is not clear yet, we would have to go to the number of attempts they took to complete a top. And if push comes to shovel, then we would have to separate them to the amount of tries they took for the zones. And if it's still not clear, we would have to go to count back. But let's see what Lea Kemp can do. She's looking really strong, going for a top on boulder number 4 on the women's side. No top so far on this strong boulder. As Jacka described, she has to come from a pulling position to a pressing position. And Lea flying out with 1 minute 30, but looking really, really close here. Probably the closest we have seen with Franzi Sterer.
And Clemens managed to secure a zone, I think, on M1.
I believe so. You have to utilize it. You can just touch it, and unfortunately it slips down. But the young athlete has enough time to complete it. And now he knows he can reveal the sequence. And Maya just got on the corner of our eyes, looking really close on this first position. We have to press both holds. Not so many tops or zones in this strong field. And Clemens going for another go on boulder number 1. We hear some Slovenian and Austrian cheerings. Lea looking really close. 10 seconds to go. And unfortunately falls down. But gets awarded a really strong applause. Lea Kemp with 1 top and 2 zones, sitting currently on 2nd position. And here on the female, we see Leonie. Sorry, I think we're having a little bit of a different Leonie Höhn, I believe.
Yes.
She had an injury yesterday and decided to stop, but changed her mind and has come back. She had a severe injury on her shoulder, on her elbow, and has been recovering this year. Yesterday she had a little bit of a tweak in qualifiers and was not going to join, and I think she changed her mind and joined for the semi-final round. I hope she can stay strong. And on the men, we have Luka Trumbik.
Yeah, he's from Croatia, and as far as I know, he's also training the Croatian youngsters. So it's going to be interesting how he does on this M1.
Yeah, do you think coaches, route setters have a little bit of a benefit rather than athletes who normally climbing? They're seeing and are studying movement a little bit more than the general athlete and general climber?
Yeah, maybe. So a lot of coaches have a great understanding of movement, and also as a route setter you need to have good understanding of the problems. But then on the other hand, you usually have less time for training as a route setter or as a coach, so evens out maybe. But Luka does really great here on M1. Ooh, really close here.
That was looking really, really strong, the Croatian athlete. Look at Trumbik. And here we are seeing Lena Schridt-Visser on boulder number 3, choosing to brush. Those holes are getting quite a lot of chalk. The athletes are renowned for using a lot of amount of chalk. And the whole square is getting a little bit warmer. The temperatures are rising. Hopefully the humidity is not going to be too crazy. And we're expecting a little bit of showers in the evening, but hopefully they're going to give up and there's not going to be any showers, having to delay or cancel any of our competitions. My name is David Patterson. I'm here with Jakob Christopher, the chief route setter for the Masters, for the women and for the male. A local hero also from Graz.
Chief route setter is Dirk, I think. So I'm just part of the team, but yeah, still it was an honor to set, or is an honor to set with these guys. It's Dirk Uhlig from Germany, the chief route setter, then Ingo Filzwieser, who used to be Austrian national coach and is now also coaching and route setting, and then Luka Mujar, a really strong route setter from Slovenia, who also sets a lot for the Slovenian national team. And now we see on the women's problem number 4, it's Mattea. I think she had a little bit of a hard time in the finals of the Austrian Championships, but nevertheless she looks really strong, and I think if she can find the right position, she will be able to do this jump. Oh yes.
Yes, now no problem with the jump. Secures the zone.
To complete 5 minutes climbing, 5 minutes rest in the reservation zone. This is an international Masters event.
And Johanna Färber sitting on 4th position with a zone. Still many climbers to come, but hopefully we're going to be able to see her on finals. I believe she was a little bit frustrated with her performance in the boulders. To be honest, really savage boulders, not many tops. So far only on boulder number 3 for the female. And here we see Luca Gas on boulder number 2 for 1-2. Also so far no zones on this boulder. Pretty difficult first movement.
In this Bertone Bloc Summer Masters. Right now, right here.
And 25 seconds to go before we go into the next rotation.
Yeah, and I have to admit I was wrong. The round still seems to be really, really hard. So as it looks now, you're probably in finals with one top, I would say. But on the other hand, we also have some international athletes coming, like Oriane Bertone and Fanny Gibert. So maybe they can show us some more tops.
And we have Kriegel Jonas, our athlete from Graz, coming to boulder number 1, and Katia Plasonik from Carinthia. She's also, I believe, a route setter in Boulderama, in Carinthia, in Klagenfurt. And she will probably know a little bit about these coordinated moves and reading skills. Studying the boulder, having a look.
the link also
to this very complex start. The Slovenian athlete Maja Kamberger. She's to brush the balls.
And on M4 we have Florian Klingler now. I think it's fair to say that he prefers the more powerful problems, but he's also a good slab climber. So let's see if he can unlock this tricky traverse to the left, followed by this stand up on these red squadra volumes.
I mean, it's a really, really hard job to set the proper level of the athletes. So if you make it too easy, then everybody's going to be able to top it. If you make it too hard, nobody will top it. But at the same time, we want to have a semi-final hard round. As Jakob displayed, we have to separate the climbers, and then the final round is going to be a bit more of a show, probably with a bit more tops. And it's also hard to study sometimes the athletes because the temperatures are changing day by day, and it could be like really easy in one day, and then the next day being 10 degrees a lot sunnier, or just having no breeze and a lot more humidity. It changes the whole atmosphere and the whole level of how hard the boulders are.
Yeah, that's right. You're absolutely right about the conditions and stuff like that. But still, I think as a route setter, we all aim for good rounds, which means some tops, but not too many. And in this case, maybe we have overcooked it just a little bit. And then it's also about us to reflect on it and to make some adjustments on the final round. But that's how it goes in route setting. Sometimes the round works out perfectly, and sometimes it turns out a little bit too hard or a little bit too easy. But yeah, as I said, we will learn from it for sure and adjust the finals a little bit so that we will have more tops in the evening.
And we just saw walking by René Strumpol, the physio for Johanna Färber here in Graz, and also for the Austrian team. And Jonas Kriegel on boulder number 1, a little bit frustrated. He's on the taller side, so maybe he can span out like Johan Lecoposch did. A very young athlete who managed to top the slab yesterday in boulder number 4.
And Maya here on the F3 problem. Oh, I believe I saw some tape flying. So maybe she struggles with her skin.
Yes, remember these athletes are not allowed to bleed, and if they are bleeding they have to cover the fingertips, the knees. We had some athletes on the Masters bleeding, having to wait for Katasawa to jump and run from one side of the corner of the stage to the other, just bringing a tape because one athlete was bleeding. Eva Maria Hammermüller was bleeding on the knee, and she had to be stopped by the referee. This is stopping the holds, getting a lot of blood on top of them for hygiene purposes. And Maya looking
so close.
So close to achieving the zone. And Julia Fischer going for the jump, looking a little bit short. She needs to generate more momentum with the legs. But 15 seconds, it looked like a really short time. Maybe she's going to be able to achieve the zone. Unfortunately, no zone for Julia Fischer in her last fold of the rotation. And we get another Croatian athlete on boulder number 1. We have here Anja Santini. And on the man side, we have Paul Heider from Tyrol. We're still waiting for the Tyrolean athlete to come out. Maybe there has been some sort of problem. We don't know yet. Hopefully he's going to be able to join us. And Luca Gasser looking really strong. He almost managed to stick the first move on boulder number 3. Athlete from Graz, training a lot in Blockhouse. Trained by Thomas Kolbacher and Patrick Sommer.
And Thomas Lach on M4 is looking promising now.
This is probably the closest we have seen anybody standing on those volumes.
That's true. Oh, now he slipped. But I think that looked really, really good for his first try. So
And Lena's looking also really strong on boulder number 4.
yeah, that's true.
She's making progress. She got a zone.
Let's see how she's gonna tackle this tricky final move. And what makes it even trickier, if you look at the top hold of F4, there's a shiny part which has no friction at all, so you cannot really hold it, and just the part which is not shiny has friction, so this makes it even harder to secure this top hold. Unfortunately, we lose Lena here, but I think she has quite a lot of time left, so maybe she can figure it out.
Auf der Bühne Luca Gasser, nach Thomas Lach. Auf geht's und die Lena Schritt zusammen.
Lucas Gasser looking not far away, but not quite coming with the right timing to the hold. It's a not very hard blocked hold, but it's blocked and you're going from a really long distance, so you have to be really precise in your timing and where you're aiming. And hopefully we're going to see a little bit of a successful attempt right now. He's quite of a dynamic climber, and I think he likes also crimps, so he would be delighted with your boulder, Jakob.
Yeah, I hope so. I know he's really strong on crimps, and it would be great if we could see him on this upper section, which is more slow pulling on crimps, because that's where he's really strong, I think.
Anything like a top or a zone would put him in a very, very strong position, so hopefully we're going to see more of this athlete who's taking a little bit of a break now, getting some energy, a little bit of breath. Those are boulders where you can give a lot of tries, but also every single try keeps a little bit of a breath out of you, and you have to recover. It's easy to keep on going, but sometimes taking a little bit of a step back, rethinking your solutions, and letting your whole system calm down a little bit can be helpful sometimes. And let's see Luca Gasser again for another try on M3. This time looking really a lot closer. He almost stuck the move.
Yeah, as you said, I think it's really important to keep calm and to take your time to prepare yourself mentally but also physically for each try, because there's no point in trying over and over again. That usually doesn't work.
Yes, we were seeing yesterday they are very young athletes, the U12 giving a lot of goes, and then the U14, Youth 14 coming out and choosing to make every single attempt count a lot more. They are already more experienced athletes, which they have more also experience. They can manage a little bit better the time, and every single try that they do, they are prepared, like you say, mentally. There's not just a physical game, there's a lot about mental and a lot about technique. And you want every single attempt to be counting the most of it.
Yeah, and Lena is again on this last section of F4. Oh, that looked really good. But unfortunately she can't unlock this last sequence.
And on the women's section we have the same podium so far. Francis Steger with 1 top and 3 zones, followed by Lea Kemp with 1 top and 2 zones, followed by Mattea Puzzi with only 2 zones, and Lena Schrittwisser with the 1 zone. The difference between Lena and Johanna Färber was the attempts they took for each zone. And on the men's we have Florian Klinger with a very strong first top on boulder number 1, followed by Stefan Scherz with 2 zones on 4 tries, and Johan Luca Posch with 2 zones on 6 tries. And the second Croatian athlete on the women's side, we have Vana Piccini.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see the Croatians with more young athletes coming through. I think that the climbing there has a huge potential. There's also a lot of awesome rock climbing cracks in Croatia. So it's going to be exciting to see which athletes are coming through from Croatia in the future.
Yes, we were seeing yesterday Christian Leitner, the winning for the youth 14, who was this year trying a 9A in Medvea, Croatian crack, and such a strong field, such a young athlete with less than 14 years already trying 9As. Let's hope we can see some successful achievements of this young athlete. And Clemens looking really strong here on boulder number 3, getting quite close. And on the men's we have Kevin Amon from Lower Austria. He just got out of the camera and now we see him brushing those holes on the left side. The wall is working on the right side. You have a slab on the very right side where the Slovenian Maja is giving a try at boulder number 4. And as long as we move to the left, the wall gets more overhanging. I would say on the men's one, we have around 30-degree steep part of the wall. And in the middle, we get around the 20% degrees.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The angle increases when you go from right to left. And yeah, I think it has been a trend throughout the last years that the competition walls got less steep. So roofs are getting more rare in this World Cup and competition setting, which is a good good development in my opinion, because I don't know, roofs can get a bit boring sometimes. And it's more interesting to set on these 30 degrees overhangs. And still we have a lot of wooden volumes, so if we want to create a steeper wall, we can work with these wooden volumes.
Yes, I guess the competitions nowadays are not so much about pulling, but more about creating movements where are unsecure, where you have to commit or you have to be more coordinative. And would you say that there is still a lot of power elements, or it's just completely about coordination?
No, I think there's definitely a huge power component still. It's just not as visible as before maybe, but all these coordinative problems also require you to be very powerful and also explosive. I would say that the modern style right now is a mixture of coordination and power, so you need to be well coordinated and at the same time you need to be super powerful to be able to generate from these positions.
And there we saw a different approach from Johanna Skrigel on boulder number 2. He did a toe hook on the left, squadra hold, and bumped with the left hand to the next blue squadra volume. Do you think this might be able to work?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. He's quite tall, so maybe he can make it work. And he's going again for the toe hook method. Let's see.
Wow, that was really looking close, but I think he's going to be running out of time. Unfortunately, no zone or top for this young athlete from Graz. And on the next rotation, we have Sambo Radix Attila. And on the women's side, we have the sister of the Olympian who got a bronze medal, Jakob Schubert. We have here Hannah Schubert on the female side. It's pretty interesting to see some of these athletes which are really famous when it comes to lead, jumping between lead and bouldering, and still performing so hard and so strongly. in both fields. Do you think that nowadays it's just not enough to be good at one discipline, you just have to be good at everything?
Yeah, I think especially with the younger athletes, we see this a lot. There's a lot of young guns who are really strong in bouldering, but also strong in lead and sometimes also strong in speed. So I think that's definitely the next generation, climbers who are well-rounded and not just good in one discipline.
Let's see what Hanne Schubert can do out of this boulder. Choosing a little bit of a read. And Luca Gasset choosing to brush the slab. And Zombo Radix Attila going for a dynamic move. That was pretty much how you guys intended. Hopefully we're going to be able to see the spectacular move being performed.
Yeah, and I think we had some starters from the who qualified through the wild cards through this bouldering jam, which took place 6 weeks before the event, and we also had the starters from the finals from the Austrian nationals, and now we are basically in a normal semi-final mode, which means that the strongest climbers will come out last. So I think we should see at least the one or the other top with the next climbers coming.
Hopefully we're going to see that, like Jakob just described. 29 athletes, only 6 get into finals to date at 8 o'clock. Here in the middle of the city of Graz, in Marderhilfe Square, we have a pretty beautiful day. It's getting less sunny as the clouds are coming around. This is probably quite nice for the athletes, which don't get roasted on the mats. We have a little bit of a view here from the Schlossberg Tower, the iconic tower, where I recommend anybody here in Graz to go up there. You can see the River Mur, which is separating the city between the east, the old town, and the new part, the west. And you can also get a pretty good panoramic view of the whole city of Graz here on the east side of Austria. Anything that you can recommend to anybody who's here around in Graz, Jakob? I mean, it's pretty... We have the first A-day for lead in Mixnitz. Anybody who's a climber or anybody who's not a climber, what do you recommend?
Yeah, I think the Schlossberg is of course a very popular destination. And as you said, we also have this first A-day of Austria. It's called Zeitgeist, and it's located in a small, or not so small actually, in a rock climbing crack close to a small village called Mixnitz. It's about, I don't know, 40 minutes drive by car from Graz. And if you're a climber, then I would definitely recommend it. It's a pretty nice crack with a lot of awesome routes. And even if you're not so much into climbing, there's also some paths to go hiking. And I think it's a beautiful place. So that's definitely a good recommendation for the nature lovers. Exactly.
If anybody wants to see green hills, green meadows, and the classic beautiful Austrian scenery, go where Jakob told you. You're going to get a good grasp out of it. And now in summer is everything green and really beautiful. So yes, there's also some small waterfalls and a river if anybody fancies a little bit of a refreshment. Quite cold water from the mountains. But for now, let's stay here in Marderhilfe Square with the semi-final of the Bloc Masters. My name is David Patterson, and I'm here delighted by the route setter, Jakob Greisthofer, a local route setter in Blockhaus, giving us his insights and his intakes, and pretty strong. We saw here Zombo Radix Attila.
The Hungarian athlete made this jump now. Let's see if he can do the top section.
He has 6 seconds.
Oh no.
Oh my God. It's heartbreaking when you see athletes getting to the top and not being able to stick the last move, which would give them a really strong performance and a really strong position. But here we are getting Thomas Kohlbacher, the trainer for the youth team on boulder number 1. He's also known for being quite a jumpy and powerful climber. And on the women's, we have Lena Preuss from Tyrol. Thomas been really, really good on campusing moves. He managed 169 on the Blockhouse campus board. How do you think, for people who don't know so much about campusing, is this a really strong achievement in your eyes?
Yeah, definitely. It's super strong achievement. I don't know. I don't know how well it translates to climbing, to be honest. Because in climbing you usually need to utilize your feet also. But of course, if you're able to do moves like 159, and for non-climbers, the campus board is a wooden board with rungs where you can pull, and your feet are just dangling in the air. And the rungs have numbers from 1 to 9. So 159 means pulling from the first rung to the 5th rung and then pulling through to the 9th rung. And these campus boards are usually somehow standardized, not completely, but somehow. So that's where this climbers terms come from. And yeah, I think if you can do these kind of moves, you're definitely not lacking in the power department. So,
yeah, those are benchmarks that we talked about, and let's hope that Thomas Kohlbacher gets top on boulder number 1. But as Jakob says, this is a skill sport. It's not just about strength. You require mental power and technique power. So let's see what these athletes have to say and have to do. And Thomas Kohlbacher not reaching the sweet spot. He was with the right hand on in between both holds actually. And Katja from Klagenfurt trying to reach to the zone hold. And Clemens was not so bad on boulder number 4 on the men's section. He was actually looking pretty close. And that's the covered hold we explained before. It's not too covered, but it's so far away that you have to still be quite precise coming from a lot lower.
Yeah, that's true. It's not very narrow, the slot that you have to hit, but still it messes a bit with your mind if you see that the hold is blocked and you have to jump to it. And also it prevents the athletes from putting a heel hook when they do the upper section on the crimps.
Is any other reason why you would block a hold, Jakob?
Yeah, we route setters, we like to use blocker holds, as I said, to force the athletes to be more precise and also to make holds worse or to prevent heel hooks. Heel hook is a technique where you put your heel onto a hold in order to take some pressure off your hands. And yeah, sometimes it's the route setting, it's such a small margin. So for example, right now I regret a little bit that I blocked this hold. Maybe it would have been better to not block it, but that's how it is with route setting. Sometimes a small chip or a blocker hold can decide between a perfect boulder or a boulder which is a little bit too hard or a little bit too easy.
Yeah, thanks a lot for these instructions. Those are pretty essential information when it comes to route setting. Yeah, thanks for your expertise.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For sure helping a lot of people making understanding this whole sport and how it works a lot better. And let's see, because we have 40 seconds left on the clock.
And Clemens is looking really handy on the slab.
Let's hope he's not going to be timed out. At least the zone would put him really, really in a strong position. And unfortunately, he's not going to be awarded the zone. You have to utilize the zone. You cannot just tap it or caress it. You really need to utilize the hold. And unfortunately, Clemens just went with his left hand and dabbed onto the hold. But following down, we're going to have Ben Abel. And on the women's side, we have Marie Schupfer von Tirol. Ben Abel is an Australian. He looked really, really strong. One of the few athletes topping 2 boulders on the qualifiers. We're seeing here an athlete on boulder number 4 trying to kind of like jump from the bottom. Do you think it's not going to be working? You have to jump for it?
I don't think it's a real jump. It's more like you put your left foot on the starting hold and then you need to stand up in a dynamic fashion. Then I think it should work.
Leonie Hearn not.
Yeah, like
now she managed to do it. And that is a proper start. 4 pieces taped, control start, and from there on you can move. And the Croatian athlete on boulder number 3 almost reached into the zone hold. And Zombo Radix Attila was trying to match on his first try the lower part, the right hold on boulder number 3. I didn't think it worked and he just changed his method now. And here we see, nonetheless, but Ben Abel looking really strong. Again, and slips out. Oh man, he still has 2 minutes 30, but that doesn't look like a very easy hold, and he's just chalking it. I think it probably was a little bit sweaty for everybody who fell down there. We want a little bit chalk on the holds, but we don't want too much chalk on the holds. Both would result in less friction. If they have no chalk at all, they could feel slippery. If they have too much chalk, they would also feel a lot of slippery. So you have to keep on brushing the holes. If they're too white and if they're too shiny, a little bit of chalk would help, especially in warm conditions. But now there's a little bit of a breeze going around. Hopefully this is going to make a little bit of a nicer conditions for the athletes. And we're going to be able to see more tops as Jakob described. The later the competition is taking place, the stronger the athletes are getting for the qualifier round. And we're going to be seeing people, international climbers of the caliber of Oriane Bertone, of Fanny Givet and Staša Gejo coming at the end. Staša Gejo, who qualified first. Very, very strong performance from her. We didn't see many tops, but she was the athlete to get the most of the tops.
And Ben is again at this upper section of M1. Oh,
just flew again.
But I think he has it dialed, at least up to this hold, so maybe he can pull off another go.
Also, thanks for everybody who's working, keeping us up to date with the scores, and the sound technicians and all this camera work. There's a lot of people involved into a competition of this caliber. A lot of work has been done, and yeah, not enough gratification is for these people. Thanks a lot. They're making you guys, the viewers, able to see what's going on here in Graz, so anybody who could not make it.
Oh, and here we see Ben popping off this second to last hold of M1.
And Filip Kutovic on boulder number 1, and Alma Besvater, the German athlete, on boulder number 1. Two German athletes so far on boulder number 1 and number 2 on the female side. And here the Croatian athlete We just saw an athlete trying to use one of the T-net holds from the volume on boulder number 3. What are the rules involving T-net holds and sticking your finger in those little T-net holds, Jakob?
Yeah, I think you're allowed to use the screw holes where the volume is attached to the wall, but you're not allowed to use the T-net holes which are on the surface of the volume. And also in slabs, you're not allowed to put your finger in one of the T-net holes on the wall. And we see this trend of climbing walls without T-net holes. For example, on the right side of this climbing wall, where the F4 boulder is located, this panel was added recently to this wall. And now let's focus here on
Filip Kurtovic on boulder number 1.
Looking really strong.
Martin hold, Croatian athlete.
Oh, that looked really good. So yeah, I was just saying on more modern climbing walls, at least for competitions, we see this trend that there are no T-nuts at all, because we route setters usually prefer the screw-ons, because then we can put the holes wherever we want.
Yes, we also saw some athletes, international athletes, like the American Brooker number 2, who used to step on the T-nut just to get some support. Is this something common that you see in climbers doing?
To be honest, I have seen this on the live streams and I was baffled. I tried it myself. It's really hard to apply any pressure. And here, Vanna Piccini looking really strong on F3, securing a zone.
This would bring her right up the scoreboard.
Let's see how she tackles this upper section. Ooh. But yeah, as you said, I think this one zone will definitely push her ranking up. And here the Croatian athlete looking really strong on M1. Ooh. Almost.
And 1 minute to go for this rotation.
And we see Alma still trying to figure out the complex start of F1.
Vanna Piccini is sitting currently in 5th position due to comeback with Johanna Färber. Both had one zone.
And she managed to get to the zone again. Let's see how she progresses now. And now another zone on M3.
And enough time. Unfortunately, not enough time. But what a strong performance for this young athlete. Kevin Amon from Law, Austria.
And here the replay of the Croatian athlete. And now we welcome Maxi Lenz to the stage on M1. He is originally from Carinthia, but he also trains very often in Bloc in Graz. I think he's just 18 years old, but already super strong. So let's see what he can do.
And just running across the stage, Lisa Wurm from Lower Austria. I think she didn't realize that she had to come out. Do you feel that 5 minutes sometimes feels a little bit too short? I mean, we were talking yesterday with Georg. He feels like it's better to have observation in 4 minutes for him than 5 minutes, but obviously 5 minutes in observation feels like a hell of a lot longer than 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think maybe the biggest difference is that when there is an observation period, like in finals, that the athletes can discuss the problems together. And here in semifinals, they can't do that. So that's maybe the biggest difference. And on M3, we have a really strong performance now.
And Samba Attila just got a zone awarded.
Really strong. He did the first move very well and then almost stuck the crimps on the top section.
Yeah, Georg was explaining yesterday that some athletes can benefit from discussing some solutions because maybe they have no idea what's going on in the boulder, and sometimes they cannot benefit and they can help their other competitors. I think that's one thing that's very nice of this sport. Being also all this football, there is a friendly competition where the best performer will do the better, but they don't hide information from each other. And this is pretty nice friendly competitivity.
Yeah, that's true. I think usually the climbers see it as a competition against the boulders and not so much as a competition against the other climbers. And Maxi is at the zone now, tackling this upper section on M1.
I feel he's this really impressive athlete, even when he's sagging really hard on his shoulders and he looks like he's gonna fall out. He really keeps on the wall. As we saw with men's one yesterday on the qualifiers.
And now the Hungarian athlete is pulling on for another go. Unfortunately misses the blocked hold. And about the scores for the women, we still have Stera Franziska on first place with 1 top and 3 zones. Then we have Kemp Lea with 1 top and 2 zones, followed by Pötzi Mattea with 2 zones. And for the men, the field is still
being led
by Klingler Florian, followed by Scherz Stefan and Jan-Luca Posch.
And here we're seeing pretty good progression from the Croatian athlete on boulder number 4. Same as Maximilian, boulder number 1. Maximilian falling out. And the Croatian athlete looking very promising here, but not quite sticking. Looking a bit frustrated. 14 seconds are over for her and not gonna have a top on her last boulder. Pretty strong semi-final round we're having here in Graz, with the sun coming in and out, sometimes feeling a little bit too warm, sometimes feeling quite well. And now we're having Phoebe Bidik, and on the men's side we have Elias Weiler from Tyrol.
Yes, Elias was also part of the Austrian national team and decided to retire, I think 1 or 2 years ago maybe. And now he's still taking part in some of the competitions and he's still super strong.
Yeah, do you think it's a good thing to maybe come back after having retired? You have less pressure, you just want to have fun, so there's less going on your mind and you can focus on, maybe you can ease a little bit and climb a little bit better than the other competitors who are just really wanting a podium and having to have a good season for themselves.
Yeah, of course. I think it's easier to perform as a recreational athlete or retired athlete because you don't have so much pressure. And for example, in last year's Austrian nationals, there were 3 athletes who were either retired team athletes or just recreational, very strong climbers. And this shows us that, as you said, sometimes it's easier to perform if you don't have that much pressure.
And Thomas Kovaher just trying to cheat boulder number 3, grabbing a little bit of volume on the left to see if it works. But I think he just realized it's bringing nothing. He just has to commit for the move. And looking really close, Thomas Kovaher on boulder number 3. And we're seeing a pretty good effort on boulder number 4 from Kevin Amon from Lower Austria, who already secured a zone on boulder number 3.
Yeah, and he also climbed very well on the slab in qualification. There was one slab to the right of the wall where the females problem is right now, and he made it look super easy, so he might be a contender for this semi-final slab now.
Kevin Amos sitting currently on 13th position. He really needs a zone for being able to get into the first 6 positions. A zone would bring him already onto the first 6 positions, I believe on 4th, depending on his amount of tries.
And Eli Weiler pulling on for another go.
And the Croatian athlete, Filip Kutovic, looking really strong on boulder number 4. We have seen many people reaching to the zone, but not quite making it to the top. Hopefully she's going to change that.
I think that's Vana actually. But yeah, she looks really good here on this mantle move. Let's see. Maybe she can unlock the sequence. But she already has 2 zones now, I believe.
People are going crazy, cheering for this athlete.
A lot of support for Vana and also for the Austrian athlete on M4.
And jumps out. Do you guys had another hold up on the top, or do you just decided to go for a really, really hard mountain? Did you change the boulder at the top, or was it always meant to be like that?
On F4 you mean? Or
On F4, yes.
F4, yeah. I think it was always like that. So yeah, the mantle, we climbed it with the left foot on the corner of the left 2 volumes, and then a press pretty much as the girls are trying. It's just really hard because you have to push your hips to the left, and it's a bit counterintuitive maybe because the top hold is to the right. And Vana, I think, is currently sitting on 6th place, if I saw it correctly on our scores. Yeah, 6th place for her, which is pretty good, I would say.
With 1 zone on her 3rd try. So not a lot of tops and not a lot of zones will already bring you quite into finals. And bringing now to the mats, we have 2 more athletes. Jotan Ben Reuven from Israel and Maya Kranze from Tyrol.
And the strong Australian now on M3.
Ben Abel, let's see what he can do. The square is filling with people walking by, and more coaches, more friends cheering their team athletes. Quite a nice view. Probably the best, as Jakob described, in terms of climbing venues here in Maria Hilfer Square. an event that Stoffel Czerner was the main organizer, the CEO from Bloc. And hopefully we're going to be able to see one more next year. But for now, let's focus on these years because there's a lot to go. The day's not over, it's just started. And let's see what Ben Abel from Australia can do. Pretty awesome to have an intercontinental competition going here in Austria, in Graz.
Yeah, that's true, especially in times like these. And I think for the athletes it's also nice because there haven't been many competitions during the last year, obviously. Yeah. Now he tries a different version.
It looked really good, but the hand was not so precise into the covered hold. And hopefully he's going to get another try where he can be fasting rather than hold. The cool thing about this round that we have seen so far is that there is no boulder being determinative when it comes to being too short. This is always something really frustrating for short athletes where they cannot start a boulder or make a move due to the length of the span. And this is not the case at all in this round of boulders. So I would be really happy as a competitor and as a route setter myself. It has to be something quite nice to see that people are not being split out because they're left out because of the wide span. So congratulations on that, Jakob.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're trying to set in a way that it's not equal, but somehow doable for all morphologies, which is sometimes really hard. And yeah, as you said, I'm happy about this aspect of the round. I think everyone can do the problems. No one is limited by morphology. But then again, it turns out the round turns out to be slightly too hard, maybe. So this is definitely something we need to consider. But yeah, we will do that for sure.
Yeah, we just saw the Turin athlete Maja Klauser starting the boulder. Not many people have been able to start the second boulder, the first boulder of the women, and she almost achieved the zone. Let's see if she can get another good try. She still has 1 minute 20 to go, plenty of time, and now she knows how it works. Pretty tricky toe catch. Maybe we can get a little bit of a view of the boulder number one. As this young athlete almost got a zone. A zone in the first boulder would bring you so much further. Unfortunately, slips out. But it's still 1 minute to go. She looked like she hurt a little bit the knee. Hopefully it's not going to be anything serious. And I believe Maja Klauser just walked out of the mats. Probably.
And sorry to interrupt you, but the Hungarian athlete just came super close on this move to the zone on M4.
Yes, was looking the closest we have seen anybody. Clemens from Graz was also looking really good. But so far, no zones and no tops of boulder number 4. And we hope that the Italian athlete didn't hurt herself. And she can perform as well as she was doing. She looked one of the strongest athletes actually in boulder number 1. And just jumping to the mats came Lukas Schreilicher from Styria, young athlete who is very well known here in Graz, who trained a lot in Block, just moved to Salzburg with his girlfriend, both climbers. And Flavi Kohat just came to the mats also on boulder number 1.
Yes, and Lucas has been super strong during the last bouldering season. He climbed several 8B boulders and also broke some strength benchmarks for himself on the Beastmaker fingerboard. So let's see if this translates or how this translates to the competition boulders.
And there we have a close shot of Lucas.
Not too far away. And here we have Alma Bestvater from Team Germany on F3, trying to go to the zone here.
2 zones would already bring you determining the number of attempts into the finals. And 2 zones will also bring you quite into the semi-final, into the final round for the men. It's all determined into the number of attempts. And so far, Johanna Färber and Lena Schrittwisser still into the field, but there's still many strong athletes to come out and finish their rotations.
And Alma pulling on for another go. Now we see here Flavie from Team France trying to figure out this difficult starting position on F1.
That was looking really close for the Croatian athlete on man number 3. All the athletes have had to show 3G rule, which we're having here in Austria, which is recovered, vaccinated or tested negative. Of course, in English it doesn't translate as a 3G, but in German it's a 3G, and yeah, quite a well-known rule. And in times like this, it's really nice to see a competition. But let's focus on the Tyrolean athlete, looking really, really strong here on boulder number 4 for the women. That was the counter-intuitive movement where she has to move her hips to the left and push with the right foot, and looking really good, fighting to the last moment, but falls down.
Yeah, and I think you could see it very well. She was so focused on the top hold that she tried to go straight up, but that's, I think, much harder than if you push your hips to the left. Now we see it again. If in this position, if she had moved her body more to the left, then she sits more on the left foot and has an easier time standing up. But of course, this is easily said now for me, because I know how the boulder works. For her, she sees the top hold and she wants to go directly to the top hold, which is very natural for a climber, I guess.
Yes. Preuss Lena, the Tyrolean athlete, looking really strong. Hopefully she's going to have enough time for sending the boulder. I mean, it's a boulder which is not a very long boulder, but you still have to start a little bit slower, and the jump is a little bit determining. It's low percentage move. Then you have a pretty hard, powerful ending. So should be enough time, but it's not a gimme as a boulder. And we see lots of climbers just flying off to the mat. And Preuss Lena sitting currently on 7th position. Unfortunately, she's not going to make it to the finals. And coming onto the mats from Salzburg, Stefan Rest. And on the women's side, we have Valeria Bertone from Vorarlberg, the mountain region of Austria.
So we see all the athletes start by brushing the holds in order to enhance the friction. And here we see a replay of Lucas on M1 on the jump. I think he missed the hold a little bit, unfortunately. And Maxi going for the press version on M3. didn't look too far away, so let's hope he can make it work. I know that he has also been bouldering outdoors quite a bit, so he's probably gonna fancy the crimps if he manages to get to this section. And here is the Australian athlete on the slab, M4.
Yeah, we have seen quite a lot of now 2 to 3 athletes getting really close to the zone but not being able to hold it. Are you meant to be facing the crowd when you're going out, or just like having a lot of flexibility on the shoulders?
On M4?
Yes, on M4.
M4, no, I don't think that you're gonna face the crowd. It's more a stand-up press, like a pistol squat, where you stand with your left foot on the lowest of the 3 red volumes, and then you just need to push really hard with your left foot, and you also need to trust that you're not gonna slip.
Yes, maybe you can explain us, because maybe some people are thinking that this is a really big volume, but there are 3 different volumes, being more like a modular situation. Maybe you can explain if this is something that Ruth says use a lot. After we see what Stefan Rest does out of this first boulder.
Let's see what Stefan does here. Checking out this crimp. Now, oh,
looking really close.
I think he was a bit confused maybe. Wasted some energy by checking out the hold, but he has still plenty of time left. And about the 3 volumes, it's actually 3 red separate holds on M4, and they can be combined to this arrow shape. And I think this is also something we see more and more in the climbing holds industry, that the holds are manufactured in such a way that you can combine them in a visually appealing way, but also in a way that makes sense climbing wise. And I feel that's really nice, because it looks good, and yeah, as I said, it also makes sense for climbing, which is really important. As a route setter, we don't like to focus only on the visual aspect. We also try to make it feel nice for the climbers.
Exactly. And let's see what Maximilian can do from Carinthia. He's going another time. Launches to the hole. That was looking really, really close. I think he's suffering a little bit with the skin. He had many rounds. He was already in the qualifiers and semi-finals into the Austrian Masters, and had to qualify also yesterday in the morning. Yesterday was brutally warm, and today again, this is the 4th day of climbing. A lot of rounds for this young athlete.
And another interesting detail maybe we see with the Australian athlete, he has a towel just in front of the boulder. Some athletes bring a towel because the mats, they get quite dirty, full of chalk and dust. And if this chalk and dust stick to your climbing shoes, then the grip decreases quite a bit, so you cannot stand as well as with clean shoes. So it's usually the seasoned competitors who bring their little towel in order to wipe off the dirt from their shoes to have slight advantage on slopey footholds.
And 23 seconds. I don't know if this is going to be enough for Stefan Rest from Salzburg, who looked really, really close on one of his tries on boulder number 1. And the next competitor will be Emma Tabernik from Vorarlberg. And on the men's side, we have Max Kleesattel. And we just saw jumping out of boulder number 4 on the women's side.
And once
then
again, Lucas, replay of Lucas. Yeah, Max looked super strong in the qualification round. He's a German athlete. I don't know him personally, but I was very impressed by his climbing in the qualification round.
As we said, we are getting more and more stronger athletes as the competition goes by. The stronger ones qualified come last. And unfortunately, many of the women athletes and the men athletes who are living in Germany could not make it. They were registered for the qualifiers, but due to the German strike on the train system, many competitors could not make it, and therefore we have seen a lot less into the semi-final, into the qualifying round, coming now to the semi-final. But still, it's nice to see that some German athletes could make it and are here today and qualified for the semi-final round. And sorry, what do you want to say, Jakob?
Sorry, yeah, I just got a bit excited because Eli Weiler on M3, he tried to put the right heel into the starting jug and had his left hand on the big gray triangle and tried to mantle into the position. But yeah, it did not work. And then he also tried once the dynamic approach. I think he will stick to the dynamic way, I believe. Yeah, he's setting up himself for the jump. Not too bad. I think he had the height. It was more about accuracy.
Yeah, how important does it come in the question of this movement to be high enough?
I think it's crucial. If you manage to get the height, and if you're also accurate, then you do the move, basically. And here we see Bibi Vidic, I believe from Vienna, with a strong zone on F3.
That's a pretty impressive achievement. Many strong competitors who already came out couldn't get a zone on this boulder, and she just got really strong. Creating opposition, she needs to roll over with her shoulder and falls out. 2 minutes still to go, enough time, she's been already there. Impressive performance from the Viennese athlete, Phoebe.
Yeah, definitely. And also about the straight arm or height issue we were talking about before. I think when you have to catch a hold one-handed, makes a huge difference if your arm is completely straight or if you have a slight bend in the arm, then it's much easier.
Yes, I remember an IFSC competition where we saw Jakob Schubert trying some really dynamic move to a hold, and basically he defeated the rules of gravity and power that we just explaining, because the commentator was saying if you go with a straight arm it's pretty much impossible, and then if you get it with a bend arm then you are able to generate a lot more force and control and stabilize your body. And then Jakob Schubert just jumped with a straight arm and held. And that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he is an absolute beast.
Yeah.
And now again on F3, Bibi Vidic. Let's see if she can unlock this top sequence. Looking strong. One hand on the top hold. And that's a top.
And it's a top. Green light from the judge. And what a pretty impressive performance. This will bring her right up on the scoreboard. Because so far, only Francis Steger got a top alongside Bibi Vidic, not yet been granted onto our scoreboard. But we know she topped it, we just saw it. We're just waiting for these scores to be actualized so we can tell you if she's sitting on second or first position. Already 3 athletes topped.
Yeah, really nice how she found her position into this press. Very impressive.
And jumping onto the mats, we're gonna have now, I believe, Max Kleersattel.
No, I think Max was before. I think it's
Robin,
yeah.
True, and
yeah.
Afra Honig from Germany.
Yeah.
And Bibi Vidic is sitting in 3rd position after Lehrkemp and Francis Steger. So these are the 3rd best positions, each one with the top and zones. Only athlete with tops so far on the female side. And here we see Maya Klauner from Tyrol, boulder number 3, brushing the holds. Yeah, the difference between Lea and Vidic is that Lea got 2 zones and Phoebe got 1 zone and Stecher Franzi got 3 zones, and that's the big difference when it comes to splitting these climbers. And 6th position, sitting currently now, Lennart Riedwisse with 1 zone on 2 tries, Vana Pichiga, Matej Putzi, Stecher Franzi on 1st position, followed by Lehrkamp and Phoebe Vidic.
Yeah, I think this top by Phoebe on F3 was super strong, and it might secure her place in finals.
Yes, definitely, especially coming really strong athletes like Sandra Ledner, Melis Pizzalunga, Oriane Bertone, Fanny Givet and Gejo Staša. A top would bring you really way further. And we're seeing here on M4 really strong performance from the Corinthian athlete. Maxi looking really good here. Hopefully he's gonna get granted a zone but falls down. A little bit frustrated, the young athlete. And Robin Kirchmeier going for the dynamic approach on boulder number 1.
And here we see the Israeli athlete, I think it's Ben Reuven Yotam, on the jump of M3.
Yes, and the IFSC youth competition that we had this year in Blockhouse, he looked one of the strongest in terms of strength. I remember there was a whole, some volumes, and they were not meant to be handholds, they were meant to be footholds, and he down climbed through those holds and made his way around, and the only athlete to climb those that boulder on a really different way. So definitely not lacking on strength. But as we said, climbing is not just about strength. There is a lot to do. And going for the heel hook method that we discussed before. Don't know if he's going to keep on trying it, but looked pretty savage. And we're running out of time, and we're going to be followed by the Austrian from Upper Austria, Sandra Ledner, and Levin Geva.
Yeah.
Also from Israel.
I think he's the brother of Ram Levin, who is also an accomplished competition climber. I think he's his younger brother.
And the bells from the church running really loud here, cutting across all the music. It's 12 o'clock midday, and we are here sitting, watching the semi-final round for the Bloc Summers, the Backbook Bloc Summers Graz. My name is David Patterson, and I'm here accompanied by Jakob Greisdorfer, one of the route setters in charge of this semi-final round and the Bloc Summers for the men and the women. We're going to be followed in the evening by the youngsters, the youth 16 at 5 o'clock, and then we will have a great final Bloc 7 Masters for the male and the female at 8 o'clock. So plenty of competition to go for the day. It's going to be all live retransmitted here for Epic TV. And the Grazer Lukic Rittwieser going for another go. And we're going to see maybe a top on women boulder 3. This is looking really promising for Flavi Koholt. Who flies out but still has 3 minutes 14. She's already been really high up there. So I believe this is gonna be promising for her. And then we see how hard she's having to press and pull between the sloper and the crimp. Doesn't quite get enough high and flies out.
Yeah, that was an amazing effort by Flavi. And she has still plenty of time left, so let's see if she can do this problem, but I think it looked very promising. And on M1, the strong Israeli athlete, I think he tried the very dynamic version now. Maybe he will also change to catching the 2 chips on the first volume. He's definitely capable of doing it. He climbed very strong in the qualification round. And on M3 we see Lukas Scheilechner jumping for the blocked crimp.
2 Minuten noch, 2 minutes to go in this round. Ready?
It just looked like Lucas was trying to just hold the crimp with one hand and stick on there. Would be pretty impressive to see if he just held it with one hand. And looking really, really good on boulder number 4.
Ah, no,
Balls
you
out.
jinxed it.
Sorry.
No worries. No worries. But I think he knows what to do now. Sometimes you see by the reaction of the athletes when they fall down, sometimes they look a bit clueless if they don't know what to do. But with Elias, I had the feeling he knows what to do now.
Yeah, he saw his error, immediately recognized it.
And Flavi pulls on for another go on F3, the French climber. Let's hope she can find her way to the top of this problem.
Struggling with the sloper, but gets into the crimp. Has to change for a palm. Yes. Unfortunately, falls out. And Sandra Ledner walking away from the mats, I believe with not a lot of points from the first boulder. Geva Levin, he's just a climber who tries until the last second. Such a strong competitor, energetic. And 4 athletes to go. So far, we have seen 25 competitors, 4 to go. Maris Piazzalunga, the French female athlete. She won the competition of the IFSC, the European competition in Klagenfurt. Only one who topped the 4th boulder. And she has been a few days training in Blockhouse. It was actually pretty impressive. She was doing every single boulder, first or second try. Yeah, let's see what she can do out of this first boulder. And on the men's side, we have Harrison Campbell, also from Australia, who looked amazingly strong on the qualifier round.
And Afra looked really good on F2 on the green-pink problem. Didn't look too far off with her first attempt. Maëlys trying to decipher this cryptic start position on F1.
Yeah, she was trying to see a little bit where her toe hook should be going to before. Let's see if she changed a little bit the method she wants to go. She looks a little bit puzzled. Now setting a heel hook, changing the toe hook. It has to be so confusing where to start with something so far away from each other.
And Campbell Harrison looking really strong on M1.
Wow. That's utilizing the whole body in order to stay on the wall. What was the idea of the last part of this boulder, Jakob? We have seen many people being really confused on this men's one. So how was the solution intended for the men's one?
Yeah, I think he went to this second to last crimp with his left hand now, and this is pretty much a dead end because then you can't really continue. So the idea was to go there with your right hand and then continuing to the top hold with your left hand.
There you are. Now
Yeah.
we can get a better view.
Yeah, so the idea is basically to grab this side pull with your left hand so that you can, the one which he's brushing now, so that you can go to this crimp that he's brushing now with your right hand and then go quick to the top hold with your left hand. That was the intended beta.
And Afra Honig from Germany looking really close and closer as the attempts go by, and think she's getting a little bit tired. And also these holds are very rough. They're really taking a lot of skin. So I bet the best solution is to do it quick.
Probably, yeah.
The Australian athlete going again. Hopefully he has seen that he has reached a dead end, as Jakob explained, and he changed his idea. 1 minute still to go. Looking very strong.
So he goes
Setting a
again
knee bar.
with his left hand to the crimp, but unfortunately I fear it's really, really hard to get out of this position. And here we have the Israeli athlete looking very strong on the slab.
It's incredible how fast these athletes can just climb the boulders. At the beginning it takes them a little bit of time, then they figure it out, and then they're just flying around. He's trying to set a knee bar, but I don't think it will work, right? The knees, the volume is just not good enough, and the foothold is very poor too.
Yeah, that's it.
And now, coming here, the famous and most prominent Oriane Bertone. The people are going crazy as she's coming to the mats. And the local hero, Georg Parma, he also trains in Bloc. Can you tell us a little bit about this young man? You were training together, I believe.
Yeah, Georg is a good friend of mine. We train a lot together, climb a lot together. He was really unfortunate at the World Cup in Innsbruck. He had an injury. There was an incident. Somebody accidentally jumped pretty much into his face with both knees, and he had to get surgery. But luckily, nothing too serious happened, and he's back on form now. And I'm excited, really excited to see him here on this set of heart problems.
Yeah, let's see if he can do really well. He qualified as third, pretty strong from him on the qualifier round. And let's see if he can get it. He's also a route setter, and he knows quite well when it comes. He just read it perfectly. And Oriane Bertone almost established a start on boulder number 1 on F1. She's a very young competitor, but she's already been climbing 8C boulders and has been on podiums in World Cups. And Georg Parma has been in several youth competition podiums and already achieved 9A when it comes to lead and 8B flash when it comes to bouldering outdoors. And let's see what these really strong young competitors have to say on the first boulders of the rotation. Remember that any top that you do in any of these boulders would automatically bring you into the first 6 qualifiers. So and that was on boulder number 3, the Vorarlberg Eva Tabernik.
And on boulder 4 for the women, we have Flavie, I guess, from the French team.
It looked like she wanted to mantle on the right side, completely ignoring the left part of these volumes. Do you think there's any chance of doing that?
Maybe, but I think it's really hard. It's often tricky to say there's no chance of doing something, but yeah, I think it's easier to go with the left foot on the left volume.
Yeah, when it comes to this level, have you been surprised at the qualifier rounds, or right now in the semi-final round? Unexpected, something that just happened. Some athlete climbing in some way that was completely, unexpected, blowing the mind.
Yeah, we see this frequently, that athletes find new solutions that we didn't anticipate. For example, Georg Parma, he found a cool solution for a jump in the qualification round yesterday. He just jumped and then put his foot really quickly on the starting jug, where his hands were basically, and that was his way of unlocking the sequence, and nobody of us route setters was thinking about it. So yeah, this happens very often actually.
Georg Parma getting a lot of applause and support, and now he found it. He's looking really happy. Into the zone. A zone is bringing you quite happy. Higher scores, but the top would bring him directly into the first 3 positions.
Ooh, really
looking strong. He has to fly to the top.
And the top, in the meantime, on M3, the German Max Kleesattel.
First top on boulder number 3.
To top, and Oriane managed to establish the starting position. Ooh.
21 seconds to go. The people are going crazy.
Now it's going really fast and a lot is happening at the same time.
Gejo needs to get quite fast. 6 seconds to go. So much tension here in the square. And he's going to be timed out, I believe. Not enough energy.
Here's a replay of Max topping out M3.
But this is a little bit of a release to see that people are topping some of these boulders which have not been topped yet.
Yeah, of course, it's nice to see at least one top. So that shows that the problem is possible. I mean, we know that they're possible, but yeah, as you say, it's really nice to see at least someone on the top.
And Tom's Nimrod Tunsnadi from Team Hungary, and Fanny Givet, a woman who doesn't need introduction, but from the French team, just jumped into the mats for the first boulders. And we have also Piazzalunga on second boulder. Miles Piazzalunga and the Australian athlete Harrison Campbell on boulder number 2. Fanny Gervais just read perfectly the first start. He just went, jumped there, tried to get the toe catch. Pretty amazing. A woman who's been many, many times in podiums and just read it to the nail. And just stuck the first move that put so many climbers away into her second try. Let's see if we can see a bit more out of this boulder. If any of these women can get to the top, then we would have seen perfect decisions and also the first zone into boulder number 4. That was a pretty hard fall. Slip out of this squatter volume. But that was also the far we have seen anybody on this first boulder.
Yeah, super strong performance by Rest Stefan, I think. He climbed super well. I think it was even his first or second go, and he has still quite some time left. So let's see what he can do on the upper part of the problem, because I think now he knows what to do. So I would hope that he can climb up to the zone again.
I mean, it's a boulder that requires a lot of like subtleness movement, and you have to be quite careful moving and adjusting to every single centimeter. But he still has 2:30, so it should be plenty of time for him. And Piazzalunke trying to jump and not getting enough elevation.
And Fanny again on the start of F1, really close.
Pretty crazy that some athletes had no idea how to start at all on this first boulder, and she just got in her second try. And the Hungarian athlete Nimrod Tursnadi looking very good.
And that's it.
And it's a top for him.
The top on M1.
Amazing.
Really strong.
And the field is being on the men, led by Max Gläsader with his top and 2 zones, followed by Florian Kling, I believe. But we have to be still actualized what Nimrod Tursnadi just did. And I believe Fanny Gervais slipped out and hurt his knee, but nothing serious. And another fall, pretty high fall from Stefan Rest.
That was great. I think that was in fact the first zone on this problem that we saw. And then unfortunately, I think his left foot popped off.
There we see he was doing it pretty much like you guys thought. Just very hard volumes to step on. And Fanny Gervais not making so much improvement as she did on her second go. And Mailis Piazzalunke doesn't fancy another go as she walks out of the mats. And there we see Fanny Gervais, hopefully a zone out of this boulder. And she will not be awarded the zone, unfortunately, but that's the best we have seen. And now onto the mats, the best qualified athletes from the qualifying route. Team Würthner on the men and Staša Gejo on the women. The Serbian who's been several times on the podiums. Let's see what she can do out of the first boulder. If she tops it, perfect job by the route setters, who calculated to the fingernail. If not, then that means it has been a little bit too hard. But as we say, with these athletes being so strong, it's really hard to judge where the level is. And on the second boulder, we see now Oriane Bertone. We just saw an impressive perfect measure of the Israeli athlete Geva Levin.
Come on. Ooh, so close. And Max in the slab also looking good. Ooh, almost making it to the zone hold.
On boulder number 2 we have, this is the replay of Geva Levin, almost controlling it. And on boulder number 2, the local Georg Parma taking a little bit of a thought, same as Oriane Bertone. Those are the strongest athletes we have had in the qualifying round. On boulder number 1 for the women and the men. There we see Georg Parma almost sticking the move. This is probably the closest shot we have seen anybody. And Staša Gejo securing the start. Geva Levin flying on this impressive move. Let's see if we can see. And really close from Staša Gejo.
And Geva on M3, pulling hard on the crimps.
He's a little bit of a shorter climber, so maybe he really just needs to flag.
Yeah, I think if you have your left foot on the gray volume, it pulls your body more to the left, and then it's really hard to do this match.
Yeah, you get a band or movement where your body just wants to rotate, and that's why Jakob is explaining a flag would be quite of a useful tactic, a useful technique to use right now. And really strong position from the German athlete. Sandra Lendner also making some progress on boulder number 3. And Georg going for a different sequence on boulder number 2. The people are cheering a lot as Staša Gejo just manages to secure again the first start of boulder number 1. She's been already to the zone, but she needs to control it. So close to stick it. So much tension.
And Geva Levin again on the top section of M3. Yeah, that looks better now.
That is the flag that we were talking about, and looked a lot closer than before, to be honest. And Team Würthner.
And
yes.
a top for the German.
The German athlete securing a top. Amazing. We're seeing more tops as the climbers are coming out.
And Sandra also looking good on F3.
That's a pretty impressive fall. And no problem now for Staša Gejo, who's just firing really fast. And now, yes, first zone on boulder number 1 for the women. Hopefully we're gonna see a top, but flows out. Impressive. No other climber got so far on boulder number 1. Unfortunately no top, but at least we got the first zone. And a little bit more of this first boulder of the women's section. Sandra Lendner won for a coordination move. And Oriane Bertone trying again, but not quite sticking the first dynamic move. So no tops for boulder number 1 on the women's side. And Fanny Givert coming to the second boulder. I think this is a boulder probably which is going to suit her quite well. Let's see what she can do out of this boulder. And Melis Petzalunga, pretty much every single athlete choosing to brush those holds. More experienced athletes with more experience, which tells them a lot how to react when they see a boulder of these conditions.
Yeah, I think the round has been going on for quite a while now, so the chalk is accumulating on the holds, and it's absolutely crucial to brush them.
Yeah, Maris Pezzalunga really going for a dynamic approach on the boulder number 3. She looked really close to sticking it, as opposed to most of the other athletes that we have seen, which chose to go to the first upper squatter volume and then more statically to the zone. She just went for both at the same time, but it didn't look too bad. Hopefully she's going to be able to stick it.
And Fanny brushing the holds on F2, taking a short rest. This move at the start of F2 is really explosive, so I think it's a good approach from her to take some rest, to take some time to focus, because if you try this move too many times with too little rest, then you will just burn out and won't be able to have a chance to do it.
And pretty impressive performance from Francis Gejo, who's still leading the field with 1 top and 3 zones. This is followed by Lehrkampf, and on the men's we have Max Kleesattel with the only man with 2 tops, followed by Florian Klinger with 1 top, and Nimrod Tunse with 1 top also, and 3 zones on the 3rd position. 2 minutes and a half of the time remaining, and we're seeing a good movement on boulder number 4, but unfortunately falls down. Roman Kirchmeier.
And here we see Maëlys pulling on for another go.
Let's see if she goes dynamically like before. Looks like she wants to go a bit more statically, but slips out.
And on M3 we see a good attempt by the Australian athlete.
Does a flag, doesn't really fancy the flag. Is trying to toe hook the volume and falls out. And Fanny Gived not getting enough height on her boulder. And Nimram Tusnadi going for the 1-2, looking closer and closer as the tries go by.
And as you said, Franziska Sterer still leading the field, and I think her zone on F2 is getting more and more impressive when we see athletes like Fanny Gibert and Oriane Bertone not being able to reach this zone.
Definitely, definitely. There we saw now Nimram Tusnadi having a look, reflecting how his move was on boulder number 2 and M2. And again, this trolling is looking really impressive. Going for a flag, changing to the back step. That looked pretty promising, but then he would have to change his feet for the shoulder move to the top. And Fanny Givet doesn't fancy another go and walks out of the mats. 20 seconds to go. Maëlys Pezzalunga just got a zone, but this is not enough. She needs more if she wants to make it to the first 6 finalists. Of course, she has not yet finished her rotation, so anything can happen. And for now, we're going to see Staša Gejo taking a go on the second problem. She has been so far the strongest athlete we have seen in the qualifiers, and also now in the semis, the only athlete who got a zone on boulder number 1. And Team Würthner, who also top boulder number 1 in the men, looking very, very strong. All the athletes choosing to brush and have a read. And let's see what Georg Parma can do out of this boulder. Quite a coordinative athlete. Friends and colleagues are cheering him and almost sticking with the palm press, the first move. And here comes Staša Gejo on the first position. She's a little bit a bigger athlete and looking really close in her first try on boulder number 2. And Georg changing really fast his approach, going for the toe on the volume. Pretty versatile solutions. And Oriane Bertone just flying out as she was for 1-2.
And Oriane cleaning the holds. Georg also brushing the starting jug of M3, and Staša, I think, also taking her time.
The square is almost filled now with people choosing to see their climbing heroes here in Graz. A perfect opportunity for anybody around in such a strong international field. And Sandra Ledner here making really high progress on boulder number 4. We have not seen any top so far. Let's see if she can make a change into that. Impressive. The people are going crazy. She's looking really strong. Pressing against with the right hand. And Oriane Bertone crimping the edge. I believe that's not going to be pretty good for her.
And
there we
yeah,
see a replay.
Really strong effort by Sandra Ledner.
And Staša Gejo almost getting it and shouting a common.
I think it's great that she never hides her emotions. It's really cool for the crowd to see when she's angry, when she's happy. Let's hope she can unlock this sequence.
Yes, I think also she's a really powerful climber. If somebody can do it, it's definitely her. She's looking stronger than ever, and let's see if she can tops it. And really strong effort. Come on. He will be awarded the zone. That's for sure.
And Staša pulling on for another go, but unfortunately she can't.
Oriane Bertone looks really close. Sorry to interrupt you. Looks really, really close. Wow.
One hand on the top hold, but she needs to match the top hold with her second hand.
I think she's getting tired and tired. She's going to go for the powerful way.
And that's it.
And secures the top. I think that was pretty brutal for her right shoulder.
Yeah.
But she is really happy that she topped it. And Staša Gejo looking pretty frustrated. I think she's gonna go one more time for another go. That's the replay from Oriane Bertone. And Staša Gejo walks out of the mat a little bit frustrated, as almost Parma crushes down. So no tops on boulder number 2, but as Jakob said, a pretty impressive performance from Francis Steger, who got awarded the zone, being the first athlete to come out of the mats under the sun heat and still perform so well. She looked definitely on her own league in the Masters, in the Austrian Masters, and still the best athlete we have seen with 1 top and 3 zones on this semi-final round, brutal semi-final round of the Master Series.
Yeah, you're right. Franzi looked super strong on the Austrian Nationals, and also now in this round she still leading the field, which is pretty impressive, I would say. Now we have Fanny Gibert on F3, cleaning the holds. and the Hungarian athlete on M3.
So now the first 3 positions of the women, they all got a top awarded. That was Oriane Bertone having topped the 3rd boulder, and also Francie having topped the 3rd boulder. The difference between them is the amount of zones that they got, but this still has to keep going because Oriane has not finished her rotation. But Lea Kampf got 2 zones and Francie got 3 zones. Oriane Bertone got 1 top and 1 zone. That's the 3rd boulder. And let's see what she can do on the next boulder when she comes back. And Team Würthner Nimrod Tusnadi on the 3rd boulder going for a jump. He's going to go with the same solution. He goes for a palm press and sticks it out. That was perfectly measured.
Now on the top section with the small crimps.
The skin is getting quite sweaty right now.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I was talking about. When you have your left foot on the big gray volume and you do the move, then the left foot starts swinging and it really pulls you out of the wall.
And then we see Maris Petzalunga starting on her last boulder, the F4, still unreached to the top. You have seen many athletes touching the top hole with one hand, but it's not enough. You need to control it with both hands on the top to be awarded a top. And let's see that the next athletes have to say only 4 athletes to go. Maris Petzalunga being one of them, followed by Oriane Bertone, Fanny Givet and Gejo. And Fanny now on the 3rd boulder, making some progress.
Almost getting the zone.
That would be also quite hard because the whole body wants to go to the right, so you need some kind of a position with your left hand to keep you on the left side. Oh. No problem from Nimrod. On the first move, he just needs to get to the top and almost holding the top hold. Amazing performance from the German athlete Max, who managed to top 3rd boulder.
Yeah, this was super strong by Max. And Fanny securing the zone on F3. Let's see if she can figure out this hard press section of F3, which follows after the zone. Oh, she goes for an undercross. Well, now she changes her hands.
She's also one of the athletes choosing not to heel hook the left start hold and going more for a tapping with this with the edge of her foot. And the last seconds, she's not going to be awarded top, but she got a zone. Hopefully she's going to find more on the last boulder. She's also one of a very flexible and mobile person, so maybe she's going to have it better on the 4th boulder. Let's see what now Staša has to say about this boulder.
Yeah, and to the right of Staša we have Georg Parma on the slab M4. And I know that he's a very technical climber. He usually enjoys the slabs, so he might like this boulder. Let's see. Yeah,
he was one of the athletes last year on the Austrian Summer Series who got a podium just because of the slabs. Not just because of the slabs, but this was quite decisive. He was the only athlete to top the 1st boulder and got a podium. So hopefully this is going to be quite good for him.
Tim.
And he's going to be able to get a top on boulder number 4.
Yeah, and Tim coming really close on M3. Got the zone and then fell on the second to last move.
We just saw Oriane Bertone flying around, getting the zone hold. Georg is looking pretty comfortable. And Oriane, common. And there you are, the first stop of the fourth boulder from Oriane Bertone. An amazing achievement. We saw so far 26 athletes flying out, and she just managed to top it.
Amazing.
And with her own solution also. Wow, that was team going for a cross to the crimp.
Yeah, really impressive top by Oriane. I know that she climbs also a lot in Fontainebleau, very famous bouldering area in France, which is also quite well known for its difficult mantles. So maybe her mantling skills came in handy here on this M4 problem. I'm super happy for her, and it's also cool that we could see a top on this problem.
Yes, definitely. She's now for sure leading the field with the only athlete to have top 2 boulders. This would put her competitor Franzi Sterer on second position. And Georg here. And then we have Oriane Bertone, 2 tops and 2 zones in 4 attempts, leading the field on the women's section.
And Tim again on the upper section of this M3. And Georg is taking his time to clean his shoes, I believe, or maybe he's doing a shoe change. I cannot tell from this angle. I think he's going for a shoe change.
Yes. Staša Gejo looking strong here.
Really strong by Staša.
Being one of the bigger and taller athletes, coming to the position is going to be hard. But reaching, once she reached the position, she will have it probably a lot more comfortable. But this is a kind of a quenched position for her, because there is more leverage.
And Tim again on this crimpy section. Oh no. Yeah, the top by Max Kliersattel, super impressive. Getting more and more impressive the more climbers we see on this problem.
People cheering Georg on his last minute on this rotation. He got a zone on boulder number 1, but couldn't quite make it to boulder number 2, number 3. Let's hope he makes amends on the fourth boulder. And Staša goes for another go with 24 seconds to go. Pressing really hard.
And that's a top for Staša Gejo.
I think she can't believe it. She just managed to achieve it on the last 15 seconds. Impressive from Staša Gejo. And Georg, I think he's going to be awarded that zone.
And here we
Let's see what the referees have to say.
Here we see the replay of Staša matching the top hold of women's number 3.
And Staša Gejo just jumped into 4th position with 1 top and 2 zones. And Faljivet going now for the 4th boulder, same as Nimrod Tusnari. And I think Georg has not been awarded the last zone, but it's not been actualized yet. He has one zone on the first boulder, and let's see what the scores have to say about the fourth boulder. Fanny starting on the proper position.
And she sticks the jump with style.
That is some power, contact strength for you guys. As good as it gets.
She's trying to figure out the right method for her. She's going for the left foot on the lower part of the volume. Looking really good.
And
now she only needs to match, and
that is the method.
Really strong. This was actually the way how we intended the problem, with the left foot on the left volume. Very impressive that Fanny could figure it out so quickly.
And we just been actualized that Georg Parma did not get this zone on boulder number 4 awarded. But let's see again the awesome replay from Fanny Givet.
Wow, look at that. Her left hand slips and she still manages to hold on to
the
fingers. Small crimp rail. That's perfect display of her contact strength, I guess.
And there we see some amazing reading skills. She was the only athlete to read it exactly like you guys planned. Pretty satisfied also. Second athlete with 2 tops, I believe. Sorry, with 1 top and 2 zones, because she didn't top the boulder number 3. Still leading the top of the board with 3rd position. Let's see if we can see a little bit more of this 4th boulder. So far no tops, just the zone.
Yeah, I think he's alone on the wall now. Still 1 minute 30 left for him. So we are approaching the end of this semifinal round, which was brutally hard, I guess, for the athletes. And
it was a little bit of a close shot from Oriane, looking really happy with her performance.
Yeah, I think 2 tops in this round was a statement. And yeah, for sure there is a lot to take away for us route setters from this round.
It's a round of applause. Nimbro Tuslandi as he approaches his last boulder of today, semi-final round. He's currently sitting in 2nd position, so we know that he's going to be in the finals. But of course, another top would be an awesome thing to have for this young athlete from Hungary. If you are watching us, we are here in Graz, in Maria Hilfer Square, in the middle of Graz. And this is not going to be over. We're going to have a little bit of a break in the midday. Then we're going to be followed by the youth finals. They had a qualifying round this morning in Boulder Club. And we will see the men and women final at 5 o'clock Austrian time. This will be followed by the final Bloc Summer Masters, female and male, here in Graz, in this epic venue, by the Backflip Bloc Summer. Last athletes on the mats. Sorry.
The last 5 minutes already counting down.
So now this is the last rotation. Staša, Gejo on the 4th women's problem, and Team from Germany on the men's slab.
No problem on the jump for Staša Gejo. Staša Gejo, who's currently studying in Germany, training a lot. Looking really close here and slips out of the top, but she has almost 4 minutes to complete this boulder, analyzing what had happened.
And that's what I mentioned before about Staša. You can really see her emotions. You can see when she's thinking, and it's really awesome for the spectators, I guess. And Tim pulling on for another go on the men's slab.
Remember, from all these 29 athletes, only 6 get to go to the final round today at 8 o'clock here. It's going to be live retransmitted from Epic TV, so don't go away. And join us tonight for the biggest event that Graz has ever seen into a climbing scenery. No problem again on the first move.
Yeah, the jump is really no issue for her. Let's see how she tackles this last mental section.
Changing now from a heel hook to a toe hook. To a toe. Pushing with 2 fingers. This is looking really good for the athlete.
Come on, Staša. And that's the top for Staša Gejo.
And another top. Impressive. Last 3 athletes to complete the last boulder.
Yeah, here we see the replay pushing down on this crimp rail with just 2 fingers. That shows you how much crimping strength these athletes have.
And now she's the only one to have completed 2 tops and 3 zones. So she's sitting now on first position, followed by Oriane Bertone and Francis Scherer from Austria. An amazing performance from this Serbian athlete. But for now, let's see what Team Würthner has to say. He has still 1 minute 30 on the clock.
And 1 minute left for Tim. A zone would be already worth quite a lot, I guess. Let's see if he can do it. Ooh, slipping on the black volumes. I think it's also hard because now so many people have climbed on this problem, especially on the starting position, so the volumes won't be as grippy as they have been.
Looking at the women's side, we thought that it's going to be really, really hard, and that it's really, really hard. Having seen already 2 tops and 3 zones for the best athlete, do you think you're going to make it a lot easier for the women, or are you going to stay with the same approach, same difficulty?
Yeah, so definitely this round was a little bit too hard, in my opinion, and we need to learn from it. We will try to adjust the finals such that we will have more tops for a good show. That's what we will have to do in the afternoon, I guess.
Sounds amazing. Well, that was everything for the semi-final round. Thanks a lot for joining me, Jakob. It's been a pleasure having you here and giving us your insight. Yeah, thanks a lot. I hope that the final round goes really good and that we saw many tops.
Yeah.
And all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to be here, and I hope that people like the insights. Yeah, I enjoyed every minute.
Thank you.
Bye.
And those were the words from Jakob Greisthofer, the local route setter here from Graz, setting for this Master Series. And here we get the scoreboard. Those are the 6 athletes we're going to see. The Serbian leading the field, Staša Gejo, followed by the French Oriane Bertone, the Austrian master, Francis Georg, followed by Fanny Givet on 4th position, Lea Kemp on 5th position, and Fivi Vidic from Vienna on 6th position. And surely coming the men, we're going to be able to see also the 6 best positions are these 29 athletes who fought really well on a really hard set of boulders that we have seen for this qualification round. And leading the field, Max Klesattel, who was the only one with 1 top and 3 zones, followed by the Hungarian Nimro Tunsnadi. On 3rd position, Team Würthner, who unfortunately couldn't get a top on the 4th boulder, followed by the very strong athlete from Tyrol, Florian Klinger, and Stefan Rest on 5th position, and Stefan Scherz on 6th position. All of them will be competing tonight at 8, but before we will have the youth 16 at 5 o'clock for the final of the men and the women. Please come back and join us for this awesome afternoon of qualification, of finals, of climbing finals here in Graz in Mariahilfer Square. This was everything for the morning, and we will be back at 5 o'clock for these awesome finals. Thanks a lot. My name is David Patterson.